All right, now, on a much more serious note, let's swing to Florida for a moment, where a teenager is making a miraculous recovery. After being shot in the head with a spear gun, 16-year-old Yasser Lopez was fishing with friends on June 7th when things went horribly wrong. One of his friends was loading a spear gun when it fired. Take a look at this X-ray and ask yourself, how does anybody survive that? It went right through his skull. Phil Keating's on this story for us live in Miami. Phil, he's going to be okay, right?
Yeah, the doctor's prognosis for 16-year-old Yasser Lopez is actually good. He begins rehab this weekend. That should take about 3 months to complete. He may still be clumsy on the left side of his body in the future, but he will be able to talk. Now, that went right here, 1 inch above his right eye. The spear then went all the way through the right hemisphere of his brain. Fortunately, speech patterns are impacted on the left side of the brain, and they took him to the hospital. According to him and his friend, they were just trying to go catch some fish in a lake near their house when the spear gun, which come out quite powerfully when you release the trigger, suddenly entered his skull.
So, Phil, how did they remove it? I mean, it's just an amazing feat on the part of these surgeons.
An incredibly delicate operation. First of all, they had to transport him with a C-clamp, basically holding the spear in his skull securely. Flew him by helicopter to the hospital. Then they had to use rebar cutters to actually shorten the spear so they could fit him inside the CAT scan to get the brain imagery to see exactly where all the major vessels are. Fortunately, the spear did not impact any of those. In other words, the doctors say, had the spear had a brain of its own and was picking where to go to do the least amount of damage, this was the spot. Take a listen.
It was possible for us to figure out a strategy during the operation to be able to unscrew the tip of the spear instead of having to get this whole spear dragged out through his brain.
So they pulled it out that way, 3-hour operation, and he is going to survive.
Unbelievable. And kudos to that surgeon. My goodness, I can just imagine what his family went through, waiting to hear how that went. Boy, we wish him all the best. Phil, thank you very much. Woo.
Like you said, I mean, there's not a lot of room for error based on that X-ray.
You got to imagine, any part of your brain, it's phenomenal that they feel like that's the absolute best way it could have gone in and come back out.
And apparently he's going to go out and buy a lottery ticket real soon.
Yeah, right. No, I think that's his lucky thing. Man.